Hi and welcome back. In this video we've got a small exercise for you. And also we're going to introduce a few new things, of course. We're going to create two methods. One of them is going to be who do you know? And the other one is going to be ask user. So the first thing we've introduced in this video already is the pass keyword. You remember me saying that after a colon, the next line has to be indented. And I wasn't lying. It has to be indented. But we don't have anything to put inside this method. We don't have anything for this method to do. So we put pass, and that essentially means do nothing. Or just pass, basically give up. So the first line is indented, but it doesn't do anything. Now, this who do you know method is going to ask the user for a list of people they know, and then is going to split the string that comes back into a list. So remember, whenever we ask the user for something using the input method, that always comes back as a string. So we're going to split that string into a list, and it's going to return that list. Okay, and the ask user method is going to ask user for their name, see if their name is in the list of people they know, for not their name, but a name rather, and then print out that they know the person. So essentially the same as here, but instead of having a predefined list of people the user knows, we're going to ask the user for a list of people they know. I would now recommend pausing the video and giving this a go as far as you can take it, and you may not be able to do things like split the string into a list. But you can do a lot of other things. I would recommend just giving it a go generally whenever I give you a programming exercise, because by doing you're going to learn so much faster than just by watching. So even if it is a bit of effort, I would recommend getting Atom installed or any other text editor and giving the challenge a go. And then pause the video and give it a go, and then come back to it once you have given it a go. Okay, I'll assume that you have given it a go. So the first thing we want to do is ask the user for a list of people they know. So people is going to be input, enter the people you know, the names of people you know, separated by commas. And that's important. Separated by commas. So I would expect something like John, Rolf, Anna, Greg, for example. That's what the user will type. Once we have that, we have a people list, and that's going to be something new, people.split. And what that's going to do is going to get the people string, and it's going to split it on the comma. And then we're going to create a list, essentially, where we're going to have John, Rolf, Anna, and Greg. You see what's happening? We're making each of the elements into its own element in a list, as opposed to in a string. And then to return that list, just return people list. And then remove the pass, because it doesn't make sense anymore. So this is the people we know. Now let's ask the user for their name, or for a name. Enter a name of someone you know. And then we're going to see if their name is in the list of people. If person in, and here it is. We could do one of two things. People equals who do you know? And what this will do is it'll execute who do you know and ask the user for the names of people, split them, and then return them, and then assign that return list to people. And then we could do if person in people, print you know this person. However, we could also do without that and just put who do you know here. After all, what's going to happen is we're going to run this method and calculate the list of people, and then we're just going to iterate over that list. It's only going to run the method once, so this also makes sense, and it saves some space, and it makes things a bit more concise. Of course, instead of this person, we can also do .format person, as we know from above. So let's comment this out and then run this again. And what do you think is going to happen when we run this code? This is a bit of a trick question, so give it a bit of thought. Okay, let's go for it. Nothing. Nothing happens. And of course, we have looked at this before. Nothing happens because we never actually ran the method. We defined the method and we created it, but we never actually ran it. So what we want to do is ask a user. This is the main sort of method, because it essentially runs the other method as well. And then we can run this again. So enter a name of someone you know. This is line 21 here. And I'm going to put in Rolf. And then we're going to put in the names of people we know separated by commas, such as John, Rolf, Anna, and Greg. And then it says that I know Rolf. Great. What happens if we run it again? But now we do something that a user could absolutely do. Do something like John, Rolf, Anna, Greg. What do you think is going to happen when I press enter? We've got some spaces in there now. Nothing happens. We do not know Rolf anymore, because Rolf is no longer Rolf. It is Space Rolf. No, that came out more funny than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, this Rolf is now an astronaut, evidently. So we've got a space first. We're dividing on the comma. So John doesn't have a space. Oh, I messed up. This. John, Rolf, Anna, Greg. And it says that I know John, but remember when I used Rolf, I didn't know Rolf because I had a space in front. So that's a bit of a problem, really. Because we don't have any logic in our program to remove spaces. So that's something that we probably should do. Remove the spaces so that we can be essentially more accurate. So let's do that. We're going to say people without spaces is going to be an empty list. And then we're going to say for person in people, people underscore list. So for each person in the people list, we're going to say people without spaces don't append person strip. And this is essentially like stripping, but it only strips the white space. So the spaces, tabs, new lines, things like that all get removed, and then we are appending the stripped string into people without spaces. So then we're going to copy that and return that instead. Okay, let's run that again. Enter the name of someone you know, Rolf, row.f, John, row.f, Anna, and Greg, and then I know row.f. So this is how we remove white space from the beginning and the end of a string. And then we calculated each of the people and added them to people without spaces. We used a for loop to do this. Now, there are better ways of doing this, and we're going to look at those ways later on in the course as well. There are more efficient ways, there are nicer ways, there are more concise ways. And we're going to look at those as well as we move on. But for now, this is everything that we wanted to cover in this video. And we've looked at a few things like bringing things together, really. The input method, the split method was new, returning values, creating a few different methods and interacting between them, and things like that. So you can progress from here. Now you're at the stage where you can start doing things. If you didn't have more experience with Python, you do now, and you can start creating small programs that print things out and get user input and, multiply things and divide them and make calculations, things like that. I would recommend that you play around with things and code and practice and, all that is really going to help your learning. By programming, that's the best way to learn. So I would definitely recommend that you do that. And without further ado, I'll move on to the next video. So I'll see you there.